Good morning. Or is it? No, I'm kidding. Happy New Year. Oh my God. Well, we technically haven't made it all the way into 2016. Hold on, I'm coming. Uh, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone? I'm a mess. So here's the problem. Wait, can you guys hear me? Meowing Star, good morning. Happy New Year. Good morning, Audrey and Neil and Badger. All my friends are here today. All my friends are here today. Good morning, dear friends. I woke up late and I didn't finish doing my makeup. Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to go get my coffee. Yeah, I look a little rough this morning. I don't know. I always say that. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to dwell on stupid shit like that. Hold on. Hold on, everyone. Everything's came apart. Everything everywhere all at once. What did I do with that fucking... I can't remember anything. Okay, anyway, it doesn't... Oh, I know what I was trying to do. I just Ah! This is what 2026 is going to be like. I don't know what I did with that one thing. Okay, that's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh my god. I am really totally talking to myself. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, friends. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Audrey's here, meowing. Neil Badger. Teresa. Teresa's here. Hi. Were you out celebrating after the movies? Oh hell no. Are you kidding me? You know what I did, Neil? I laid in my bed and I stared at the ceiling until like 2:30 in the morning. I shit you not. I listened to like as much of an audiobook as I could trying to fall asleep. And then I just couldn't fall asleep. Mr. Spock. Good morning. So anyway, it's a little rough. I'm like not operating on a ton of sleep, but I didn't go out. I don't go out. I don't go out. I am like I'm the home alone kid. And not that people left me. Well, wait a minute. No, but they didn't forget me. Okay, I need to go get my coffee. I'll be right now. I could not fall asleep. I just could not fall asleep. It's just been happening. And I think part of it is there are nights when I stay up gaming. When I wasn't doing shows, I did finally fall asleep. Rest is best, isn't it? I know. I'm just like, I'm in that mode right now. I'm not having a good time sleeping. And I'm also, like an overgrown teenager. So there's a lot of reasons. But I'll tell you one thing I need right now. It's that coffee that's sitting out there in the kitchen. So I'll BRB. I'm going to put the music on and I'll BRB. I'll be right back. I was going to play you music, but I can't even find the music. So I'm going to go get the coffee and then I'll be right back. You didn't hear anything. You hear stuff now, right? I'm gonna go get my coffee. I'll be right back. Uh. I just felt like dancing. Oh my god. Okay, so now, see, there's days when my hair's too clean and my hair's too dirty. These are ones when my hair's too dirty. What's going on over here? Not even sure. I don't even know. Fucking, I don't even know. I can't. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my god. I meant to wake up and test my shit this morning. Wow, I'm a loser. Well, welcome to 2026, because I'm a mess, bitches. I'm a big mess, bitches. Happy New Year, Teresa Carter. Good morning. Oh my God. Welcome to 2026. Everybody holler. Welcome to 2026. I'm Lolo. I'm your host. Anyway, so good to see everyone. Good morning. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Hold on just a minute. I'll be right back. Oh my God, it's hot. It's so hot and it's so good. Oh my God. Hold on. I got to adjust my chair. Be right back. I sprayed my setting spray has like glitter in it. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. That's right. Oh my God. You know, probably anyway. Yikes. Is that stein full of coffee? It surely is. That's right. This is my mug. Look. It says Lolo. There's a Christmas tree on it. I like Christmas trees. Even though I don't celebrate Christmas, I like trees. I think they're more pagan, so I'm going to go with that. So what did everyone do last night? Did you guys go out and have fun? Did you go out and do anything? Did anybody have any stories? Thank you. Does anyone have any stories of danger? Lee, good morning. Oh, you have to shovel? That is such a bummer. I hate shoveling. I really fucking hate shoveling. Oh my God. That would do me for a year. No, it wouldn't. Get out of town. It's actually not full either. Okay. It's not full of coffee. It's like 2 inches from the top. Like 3 inches. Well, maybe 2. Maybe 2.5. I played games and fell asleep, stayed in bed, safe. Yep, there you go. Well, we had an impromptu movie night and we watched Sunset Boulevard. Such an amazing movie. God, that I love Gloria Swanson. I think she was amazing. Now, I think she must have either married into the family or is the same family as Tucker Carlson. Wait a minute, because wasn't he part of the Swanson TV dinner, thing? You wouldn't make it through a movie. I totally understand that. I totally understand that. But you know how, yeah, like I got to hang out with a bunch of trans streamers playing Elite Dangerous, doing a charity fundraiser. Oh my God, meowing. That sounds like so much fun. Get out of town. Oh my gosh. Elite Dangerous. I don't think I've played that. Have I played that? I haven't played it because I don't know. But I think I've heard of it. I'm trying to think of the game. Yeah, I played a little Assassin's Creed after our movies. And then I went to bed. And I laid there like an idiot for hours. It's okay. All right. So today, what I thought we would do actually is we have the last half or thereabouts of the Jack Smith thing. And it's a space simulation game. Oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. Elite Dangerous. I just feel like I've heard that term, but it could be I'm just confusing it with a game, so I apologize. Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. It sounds like so much fun. I can't recall which, I don't know where I thought of it. Anyway, sorry. I'm like blah, 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 blah. I had 2 Jell-O shots, a gummy cupcake, and was out at 12:45. Jell-O shots are fun. I mean, they were fun. They're not now for me. I have to go blow my nose. I'll be right back. I know, it's one of those mornings. I have to go blow my nose. No, 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 no. Oh my God, now I remember. That's why I fell asleep listening to Jack Smith's testimony. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta blow my nose. I gotta blow my nose. I gotta blow my nose. I gotta blow. Wow, wow. My nose. Mm-hmm. Ow. I got hit in the back with my microphone. Okay, my nose is clear. Thanks anyway for asking. Okay. I hope 2026 is going to be an amazing year. But I think this is so random, like calendar jumps. Elite also has a very large trans community, and the Galaxy Simulator was designed by a trans woman. That is so cool. That's so cool. I fucking love that. Elite Dangerous. I'm going to have to check that out. I think that's so cool. That's so good. I love that. And I love that people get together to play it. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of my favorite things is when people get together to actually play games. You know, that's why I think D&D is such a positive thing. Because first of all, it's storytelling. And second of all, you get to get around people and just be social, but in a way that's kind of like cozy, you know, because you're like telling a story. So I love D&D. I love that whole concept. Damn that top message. I know, Audrey, I've been on top message for like entire streams. It's just so stupid. All right. Well, so this morning I thought we would pick up where we left off with Jackie. Oh, 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 Jackie Blue. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, 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 oh. Ooh, Jackie. Meow, meow, meow. Let's see if it works, though, because remember yesterday I didn't get the sound to come through my fucking mouth. Okay, hold on. Hold on, because I didn't do what I was going to do before we got on the show. So we'll do it right now. Yeah, do it right now. I don't know if this is right. Okay. So nerve-wracking. So nerve-wracking. Yeah. Let me see if this works, and then we're gonna. I might have to test a couple things. I really apologize, but this is where we are. This is where we are. You didn't send me to broadcast school. Good song, Cooterville. Good morning from Cooterville, Louisiana. Well, hello, Carla. Happy 2026. I miss you, girl. I miss you, girl. Human interaction and fun. How do you do? You live your life in a freeform style. You want an inch, but you grab a mile. Wait, what's that? What's that song? Desperado, why don't you come to your senses? You're out riding fences for so long now. And freedom, well, that's just some people talking. You better let somebody love you. Jackie Blue. Ooh, Jackie Blue. You live your life. You want an inch, but you grab them. I don't remember that. I just don't remember a lot of lyrics, though. So that's not unusual. Okay, let me see if this works. Do. I miss y'all. I'm getting better at listening at work. That's a girl. That's what we love to hear. That's what we love to hear. Balance. No. We like to hear balance. Okay, let me find this frickin' thing. Ooh, 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 Jackie Blue. Oh. Let's see. Wait. What? Let me see. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute right now. I think you can hear the fire in the background when I speak. That's why. It sounds perfect. I had a charcuterie board of edibles and some fizzy wine. Carla, I just love that. I just heard it yesterday. I hope I remembered it right. You probably did. I miss y'all. I'm getting better. Oh, yeah. Sounds perfect. Yep. Yay, Carla. As long as you're here, girl, as long as we know you're okay, you're here, then everything's fine. And then we can handle it. Okay, so let me try. It's one of those shows where I'm not really like very good this morning at what I do. Okay. What I do. Okay, I'm going to try this, but oh my God, this better work. All I have to say is this better work. I'm going to be really, really, really mad about it. So, if you don't know, good morning. Welcome to Wake and Bake. Yesterday in Discord, we listened to the first 4 hours of Jack Smith's testimony in front of the Judiciary Committee of the House. He was subpoenaed to testify about his weaponization of the U.S. government and the Trump cases and things like that. And so this was his closed door testimony, which he had asked to do in public. And the committee, Jimmy Comer and Jim Jordan, made him testify behind closed doors. And then I can't recall what happened. I'm sure someone in the chat knows better than I do. But something happened where all of a sudden they released a redacted transcript of the of the testimony. And then yesterday, they released 8 hours of his testimony. They released his testimony. Now, they did redact some portions. You'll see where we have to skip ahead when it goes to a red screen. But for the most part, you hear. Now, what I want to tell you is what you're going to hear is a lot of questioning by the Republicans about not facts. No, not facts. More about the feelings. Like, how did you feel when you brought the indictments against Trump? How did you feel when you decided not to bring indictments first against co-conspirators and go for the small fries first? How did you feel when when you realized Merrick Garland wasn't going to actually allow anybody to go forward with anything? No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, let me test the sound on this, and then I'm sorry, and we'll figure it out. Hold on. God, this better work, you bitches. You bitches. No, I can't hear it. Okay.
April 3rd hearing was a pretrial motion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, hold on. It's not working. Damn it. Okay. I just want to hear where you're going to. Maybe that.
We'll now go off the record.
Okay. Shit. God, this thing is so, like, touchy. I don't even change anything. And all of a sudden, let me just see if this works.
Instances of members of Congress, again, specifically on January 6th, but also before that, where either they were reaching out to the White House or the White House was reaching out to them, and through, conduits to the president, including, as I said, Mark Meadows.
Okay. And what was the nature? Let's start with before January 6th. What was the nature of some of these communications with the White House or with co-conspirators of Donald Trump leading up to January 6th and members of Congress?
Well, it varied. Sometimes the communications were relevant to us to show that people were telling Donald Trump that the things he was saying were not true. Other times, they were evidence of the false nature of the things that we're saying. So, for an example, would be there are 2 voicemails that Rudy Giuliani left for senators, and those voicemails show him saying.
Okay, let me point out one really significant thing about the first 4 hours. I know, Audrey, I always forget about Mark Meadows, but so let me set the stage here. A big part of the GOP questioning is why Jack Smith, oh my God, my brain, pulled the phone records of senators. So what this committee is actually really upset about, the Republicans on this committee, what they're really upset about is that he pulled their phone records. Because there were a number of calls, as he's going to describe, between members of the Trump team and different senators or whatever, representatives. There were a number of calls, if you remember, between basically the president's team and senators and representatives about the vote. And so they pulled phone records to show, to identify those phone calls. But these senators and whoever, these representatives, they're super upset. The only thing they're upset about is that Jack Smith pulled phone records. So this is what they're really mad about. It's not anything else, really. It's seriously just the fucking phone records that they don't want their dirty laundry. They're very, very upset about it. They don't want those phone records coming out. That's really what it comes down to. They don't want those phone records coming out. So anyway, that's the stage for a lot of this questioning. So enjoy. I bring you to Insurrection Theater.
Saying things that were not true, using knowingly false claims to try to get those senators to further delay the certification of the vote.
You just mentioned that there were instances before January 6th of members calling the White House, and I'm summarizing, to basically express that some of the claims the president and his co-conspirators were making were not true. Is that what you just said?
Well, I should be specific. There were a variety of reasons that, and I'm not trying to say that any time someone contacted the White House, they were involved in a crime themselves or doing anything improper. But how this conspiracy that was trying to stop the lawful transfer of power, how that worked, it was important for us to understand. We had evidence from Department of Justice officials that Donald Trump said to them, just say the election is corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. I think given that was the perspective that Donald Trump had, our view is that the case we would have presented at trial would have been Donald Trump preying on the party allegiance of people in his party. And people like the vice president didn't agree to that. People like the elector from Pennsylvania I mentioned didn't agree to that. People like the Speaker of the House in Arizona didn't agree to that. But the extent to which those contacts were happening was relevant to our investigation.
Okay, so let's dig down a little bit in that. Let's start on January 6th. So I believe in the evening, did your investigation uncover or learn that Mr. Trump personally called members of Congress on the evening of January 6th?
Yes.
Do you remember who those members were?
I'd have to look at the records to be sure, but the best of my recollection, he was trying to get in touch directly himself with Senator Hawley and Senator Haggerty. And then there were several senators who he directed Rudy Giuliani to get in touch with.
And who were those senators that Mr. Trump directed Mr. Giuliani to get in contact with, to the best of your recollection?
To the best of my recollection, and this comes from a email, or I think it was a text maybe, that Boris Epstein sent to Mark Meadows, and it basically said something to the effect of the president told the mayor to call these senators and they needed numbers. And what our investigation ultimately showed was they sent that text after they'd already started trying to call members and didn't think they had, and ended up understanding that they didn't have the right phone numbers. In fact, the message that they left for Senator Lee, which he voluntarily provided to our office, that was meant for Senator Tuberville, I believe. And the message that he left for Senator Sullivan, I believe it was for Senator, the name's escaping me now, but it was another senator that he meant to call. We had also interviewed Boris Epstein before these subpoenas were issued. He corroborated that they were, in fact, trying to call senators. He dissembled and tried to imply that the president hadn't directed him to do it, even though there was a text message saying specifically that they had. But he agreed that they tried to call these senators and that they had certain senators' numbers themselves, and so they didn't need those numbers. And that would be, I believe it was Senator Cruz, and possibly, I think he said they possibly tried to call Senator Graham as well.
Taking a step back, this might be obvious for a lot of folks, but just to make sure it's clear for the record, who is Mr. Epstein?
Boris Epstein was one of the co-conspirators in this case.
And what role did Mr. Epstein play in the larger conspiracy, if you can summarize it?
Well, he played several roles. He was involved in the fake elector scheme, and also in sort of pushing out some of these false fraud claims. The other thing, I'm sorry, just to go back to mention is we also, in the course of the investigation, interviewed Rudy Giuliani. And one of the things that we asked him, if you recall, in the message, I can't remember which senator it was for, but in the message that he left, he said, referenced the fact that he was calling on fellow Republicans. And in the interview, we asked him, why did you say you were calling on your fellow Republicans? And he said, well, I wasn't going to be calling Democrats about this. Even some Republicans wouldn't go along with this. And so, of course, I would call only Republicans. And in fact, that was consistent with our investigation throughout, that the people that President Trump and his co-conspirators reached out to were people who they thought would go along or help them because of party allegiance. And Giuliani in particular would reference that he expected their cooperation because they were Republicans. There was one particular meeting that he attended where he got a hostile reception because he had no evidence to back up the fraud claims. And he said something to the effect of, I thought we were all Republicans here. And so that was a theme throughout the case. And it went to the strength of the case that we had, because the witnesses we were going to call were the people that the president reached out to sort of further this criminal scheme.
I want to touch on a point, because it seems like the evidence you uncovered showed certain members of Congress, including Republicans, pushing back on this assertion about the big lie. And I'm characterizing some of these claims about the election as the big lie. Is that okay if I use that term?
You can use whatever term you like.
Oh, I'm going to use the big lie. So did you recall any evidence when you were talking to Mr. Giuliani that he truly believed all the voter fraud claims that he was putting out around the country?
Our evidence was he did not. And in fact, when we interviewed him, he disavowed a number of the claims. He claimed they were mistakes or hyperbole. Even the claim about Ruby Freeman, where he basically destroyed this poor woman's life by claiming she was a vote scammer. President Trump did the same thing in a recorded call with the Secretary of State.
So what he's talking about is this guy right here, I believe. I need to find his name.
He disavowed.
This guy right here, the guy questioning him, I think that's one of the investigators that I really liked from the original J6 investigation. I think he's part of the Democratic staff for the Judiciary Committee. But I believe, because his voice sounds very familiar, I think he was one of the lead investigators on the J6 case when the J6 committee, I think he was part of the committee. So he's really good, and he knows the evidence really well. So that's who I think is questioning him now. But they alternate, so sometimes you'll hear like Jamie Raskin is questioning him. I think we've heard, I don't even know, they all sound alike to me. Tom Tillis, or I don't know, they all sound alike. But, those guys who are members of the judiciary. So you're going to hear some annoying voices. He didn't sound strident enough to be a GOPer. No, he's really good. So I got to find his name, because he was really good. He went on TV a couple times after the J6 committee, because he was one of the staffers that helped prepare. I think he's a lawyer. I don't think he's just, like an intern or anything like that. I think he's one of the staff lawyers, but I'm not sure. But yeah, really good. So we'll find out more about him. Here we go.
Things he'd said in that interview.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Were you able to interview some of the individuals that our January 6th committee was unable to interview. For example, did you interview Mark Meadows?
We did.
We were unable to talk to Mr.
That's
Meadows.
Zoe Lofgren speaking.
Were you able to find out what the communication was between Mr. Meadows and Mr. Bannon and potentially Mr. Stone on the evening of January 5th at the so-called war room at the hotel?
I don't recall that as I sit here right now. I know Mr. Meadows spoke to a number of people who were either involved in or adjacent to this conspiracy. As I sit here right now, I don't recall that specific evidence. I think he was in touch with Bannon, but I don't recall specifically the answer to that question.
Mr. Bannon made an extraordinary video basically predicting the events of January 6th on the day before. Were you able to discover, either by interviewing Mr. Bannon or those who had knowledge of what he was doing, how he was aware of the riot before it happened?
We did not interview Mr. Bannon. I believe that particular statement you're talking about would have been part of our proof, and my recollection is that we had evidence that would indicate from some point, not immediately after the election, but shortly thereafter, sometime might have been closer to December period, that Bannon, who had been out of touch with President Trump for some period of time, got back in more regular touch with him at some time. And in fact, this is reminding me, my recollection is that we had a text thread that between Bannon and Epstein that went through a lot of this period. On that text thread, I believe it was the evening of January 6th, right around the time the senators' calls were occurring at the direction of the president. And there was an exchange between those two wherein I believe it was Epstein asked Bannon, "Are you in touch with him?" And the answer was affirmative, and it was something to the effect of, "He's still on fire." And that's right at the same time that these calls are happening, after he refused to do what he could to stop the attack on the Capitol, after the tweet about Mike Pence.
In December, there were several meetings in the White House where efforts were to overthrow the election were discussed in terms of the fake elector scheme. The president issued his tweet calling the mob to Washington that it would be wild. Did you identify members of Congress who participated in any of those meetings?
Participated in meetings at the White House.
In December?
I'm thinking now, I can't say that we didn't, but as I sit here right now, I can't think of a member of Congress in particular that attended the meetings I'm thinking of right now. Not saying it didn't happen, I just don't have a
To
recollection.
follow up on that, there was a December 18th meeting. Do you remember a December 18th meeting at the White House right before President Trump then issued the "Will Be Wild" tweet in the early morning of December 19th? Do you remember I believe Ms. Powell was there and others were at the White House discussing with Mr. Trump?
I remember there was a meeting with Sidney Powell where there was a discussion about whether she would be appointed a sort of special counsel for to sort of have this role that would assist Trump in pushing these claims of election fraud that were false. My recollection of that is the meeting ended, I believe, with President Trump saying, "I want her in that position," but then it didn't happen because she didn't fill out the paperwork, clearance paperwork necessary for that. I don't know if that's the 18th, but.
Okay, this is when I wish I really had the mind of Gal or Jim in my head, because this is why I want to have a show. No, Mike Lindell was not there. I think he wasn't. He was there, but he wasn't involved in that meeting. Was it the 18th? I don't know if he was at the 18th meeting. See, this is why I want Gal or Jim here, because they know TikTok of this whole time frame, especially that December 18th meeting. Gal is especially sharp on that. So I'm looking forward to getting to sit down with Gal and Jim maybe next week if they have time to really talk through their work, their research on the insurrection was Plan B, and really revisit that now 5 years later. 5 years later, to see, how some of their work stands up, and then also, what are their thoughts, right? Knowing now what we know from the past 5 years. So I really want to try and get that happening for the anniversary of January 6th or thereabouts. So I'm trying to, I need to reach out to them and see if I can have that happen. But so first of all, there's one notable thing, Boris Epstein. So Boris Epstein was really a key figure in Dump's attempts to hold on to power. And if you recall from before that time, Boris was very, very, very integral to the first campaign. And then also when I watched, when I was watching a lot of War Room and stuff like that, Boris was always on War Room with Steve Bannon. Always. Like he was his buddy. He was his fucking buddy. So Boris is like this character that slipped into obscurity now, but man, he's got a lot of blood on his hands. So this is both traumatizing and interesting because I feel traumatized because we lived this so much. And now I'm happy because I want to hear Jack Smith talk about this evidence. I want to hear him connect these dots. That's interesting to me. He's very smart. One might say he's very sexy, but he's very smart. But more so, he's sexy because he's got all this evidence. Anyway, so that's a couple of call outs I wanted to make. But yeah, I'm going to find out. I'm going to pull up the insurrection was Plan B, and we can, on the other side, we can take a look at that. All right.
It's around that time.
And do you recall any members, just following on Ms. Lofgren's point, do you recall any members of Congress being present or participating in that meeting?
There's a record of this in our files. I remember certain individuals. I think Mark Meadows was there. An individual by the name of Eric Hirschman was there. I think Rudy Giuliani was there. There was a number of people there. I'm not remembering if there's anybody in particular you can ask me and I could see if I could remember, but that's what I remember now.
Who introduced the idea of Mr. Clark becoming Attorney General?
Our investigation determined that Congressman Perry had a role in getting Jeff Clark on the radar of President Trump as someone who could help him, and getting meetings with Jeff Clark and the president.
And we might touch on Mr. Perry's involvement later on. Just want to flag that for you. So it sounds like, and I want to hear it from you, did your request for the toll records of certain congressional members, did that relate to phone calls made to these members of Congress on or around?
Congressman McCarthy, there was a broader period of time from, I want to say it's about November 3rd through, again, it was either January 6th or 7th.
And I've heard you mention evidence such as text messages with Mr. Epstein, Mr. Giuliani. Did you also have Mr. Giuliani's records as part of your investigation? Did you collect those phone records?
We did.
Okay. So in your prosecutorial experience, do you generally seek to obtain call records from both individuals involved in a telephonic call or message?
We do, and in this case, with the records for that evening, it was particularly important because when we interviewed Boris Epstein, one of the things that came out was that Rudy Giuliani had two phones, and that Boris Epstein had another phone, and we needed to make sure that we weren't missing any calls in terms of where the calls came from. And so it would corroborate the records that we.
I'm a little bit of an idiot, but that's okay. Yeah. Oops, hold on. Let me do that. Okay. Audio gone. It's back. Yes, sorry. Traumatized that they're all walking free. Oh, wait, you couldn't. Wait, 718. Wait, you couldn't hear? Oh, wait. No, it's because I turned it off. Okay. Okay. This is Jim's Substack. The insurrection was Plan B. And this is section 2, which was the meeting. And I'll probably read this. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I'll read through this. That actually might be. Yeah, actually, that's the ticket. I might do this. It takes a minute because it's like 5 parts. Okay, so on December 18th, 2020, a loud, chaotic meeting took place in the White House that meandered through the building with a rotating cast of characters over the course of more than 4 hours. Let me just get over here. Okay. During this meeting, the then President of the United States conspired with anti-democratic operatives from inside and outside the government to plan a violent insurrection of the Capitol on January 6. They started in the Oval Office, moved to the Cabinet Room, and finally the residence. The meeting was widely reported, but mostly misunderstood. The purpose of the gathering was to shift the strategy to overturn the election from Plan A to Plan B, which they immediately started planning and executing. Quote, big protest in D.C. on January 6. Be there, will be wild. President Donald Dump, December 19th, 2020. There's his big thing. Peter Navarro in his 30-page report. Wait, what? Oval Office, December 18, 2020. The participants are frantic. They have received bad news. The original plan to overthrow the election is not going to work. The intelligence community is not willing to corroborate manufactured evidence, quote, air quotes, of election fraud. The ODNI report they need to support rerunning the election is delayed without a projection date. There is palpable sense of anger, confusion, and desperation in the room. And he doesn't remember that, was it Rick Grinnell? Who was the head of, it's the guy who's the head of his CIA. Fucking Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe was the ODNI. Okay? He was the one who held, hi, Easily. Oh my gosh. I hope your ears were burning, girl. We were talking about where's Easily Distracted last week. Happy New Year, girl. It was so good to see you. Sorry, we're deep in Jack Smith right now. So the very same man who today, right now, is the head of the CIA, who just bombed Venezuela. I'm going to remind you of how all this comes together. Okay? The same man who is now in charge of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, ratfucker, who was then the ODNI, who slow-walked this report because they needed to have this report by the 18th in order to justify rerunning elections and clawing back. Right? That was Plan A. This is why Italian satellites and Venezuelan voting companies and all of the rest of that was and bamboo paper from China, all of that was important because it all fed into this bullshit cockamamie story that there was foreign interference, hence the elections had to be rerun. We're shitting you not. Remember this? So anyway, that's the meeting he's talking about. Let me tell you who the participants were. The fact that this group of people were in the White House discussing the overthrow of the government represents a titanic failure of our entire system. Nevertheless, here are the people who were in the room at different times. Donald Trump, Mike Flynn. Mike Flynn, okay, we don't want to talk about his history. I don't care about him. Okay. Donald Trump pardoned Mike Flynn a few weeks before the meeting, and on the same day Flynn was pardoned, Trump gave Mike's brother Charles Flynn a 4th star and a position that would allow him to interfere with the defense of the Capitol, which he did. Like Trump, Flynn was certain that the meeting was do or die for him. He was ready to use any levers he had available to ensure that Donald Trump would remain president, to keep his mission moving forward, and to save his own skin. Mike Flynn, the day before the meeting, suggested using the military to overturn the election. Here he is on Newsmax with the former police commissioner of New York, wherever his name Kelly was. This is his son, who is a Newsmax anchor, who also was credibly charged with rape back when he was younger, and he got off because of his father being a cop. So that's Greg Kelly interviewing Mike Flynn, who happens to be sitting, I think, is he sitting in the Willard? I can't recall if he's sitting in the Willard or not. I don't remember those curtains, but we figured it out.
I hear some murmurings, about the staff shakeup at the Pentagon. They're putting people in place who might not be opposed to aggressive action. And the president does have some options, at least on paper. Can you tell us what those options are and your opinion, if he might take any of them?
Well, I don't know if he's going to take any of these options. I mean, the president has to plan for every eventuality, because we cannot allow this election and the integrity of our election to go the way it is. I mean, this is just totally unsatisfactory. There's no way in the world that we are going to be able to move forward as a nation with this. So the president has and I just mentioned one of the options. I mean, he could immediately, on his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order. He could also order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times, Greg. So I'm not calling for that. We have a constitutional process. We clearly have a constitutional process. I think you highlighted some of that in your previous segment. That has to be followed. But I will tell you that I'm a little concerned about Chief Justice John Roberts at the Supreme Court. I mean, we can't fool around with the fabric of the Constitution of the United States. And I think that right now the Constitution, if the Supreme Court doesn't get involved in at least making sure that the fabric of that Constitution is held together, and all they have to do is look at the evidence. They have to look at the evidence. I'm not certain. In fact, I don't believe that the Supreme Court of the United States has even looked at the merit of any of the cases that have been put forward yet. What they've been looking at is process files, whether somebody crossed a T or dotted an I. And that's unsatisfactory. That is, to me, that lacks courage, it lacks moral fiber within the Chief Justice, and frankly, within the members of the Supreme Court. And I actually
Sorry. I suspect Purge Day. Yeah. So that is Mike Flynn on December 17th, 2020, the day before the famous meeting that we're going to go eventually back to Jack Smith that he's talking about. Bong rips for democracy. Yeah. Ooh. JFK, thank you so much for coming in and being so sweet. You're a doll. You make me feel good. Thank you so much. And Karen, good morning. Welcome home. But this, I don't understand what Flynn is waiting for. What do you mean waiting for? Well, he was hoping that they would have this ODNI report that would have bogus corroboration or enough justification for them to recall the election, which was, remember, what the pressure on Mike Pence. Because if Mike Pence cooperated to stop the count, whatever, that would give them enough time to file, I think, with Alito. I really want to chase that one down because Alito had that draft injunction ready, because that was part of it too, to get the elections rerun in the states where they suspected fraud. Yeah. So, I mean, this is really the greatest story ever stole. This is a huge theft or attempted theft of the power of government. And yet that man is now officially in that role. So it's kind of crazy. And so you kind of see why people might be just a little bit obsessed with history, because frankly, that's how we got here in this particular moment. Yeah, good old Samuel. But I have to chase that down because I don't know all the facts around the Alito injunction, but I want to make sure, or it could be Kennedy. I have to figure that out. I will make sure I figure that out. But anyway, so that, just a little bit of context. So for the meeting just going on with the December 18th meeting, because that's important. Patty McByrne, after reading, my favorite, thanks Gal for chasing him away so that he would never come on this show. I'm just kidding. I love you, but that's an inside joke. Patrick Byrne was there. There's a whole story. We could do a whole show on Patrick Byrne. Maybe we will. Maybe it's time to go back to the future. All right. So Patrick Byrne, yeah, is an idiot. Sidney Powell was there, and they wanted to make her special counsel. That was what he was talking about, Jack Smith, when he talked about giving her the role. He wanted to make Sidney Powell special counsel, and the White House counsel said, go fuck yourself. Patsy Baloney said, hell no, over my dead lawyer body. And apparently that was enough. It didn't happen. So, or she did some kind of paperwork. Patty Byrne is on the run still because Hunter Biden is trying to sue him because of the fabricated laptop, because I think Patty had something to do with that with Rudy Giuliani. I mean, it's just a mess. These guys are such fucking... All right, so Powell. Rudy Giuliani was there. Speaking of Rudy, Mark Meadows, remember him? Patsy Baloney. Pat Cipollone. It's not Pat, but I call him Patsy Baloney. Anyway, his legal team, and then let me make sure that I didn't miss anybody. But anyway, so that was the people that was there. That were there around the 18th. Oh, what a mess! 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 And now we have people being kidnapped off the street because this guy cheated and tried to take things over. Now, come back into the present with Lolo. Come back into the present with Lolo, because we're going to hear what happened just a couple weeks ago with Jack Smith telling his side of the story. Here we go. Hold on. Let me do this.
Yeah, but also make sure that there's not calls that we missed.
Did you ever learn why Mr. Giuliani, Mr. Epstein had multiple phones?
No.
Did the toll records that you requested from the senators, did they include the content of the phone calls?
No.
Did the records that you requested, the toll records from the members of Congress, include the content of text messages?
No.
Can you explain for us on the record what information generally is included in a toll records request?
Sure. Again, my understanding from a prosecutor's perspective is it is non-content information. It's generally about when the call started, when the call stopped. That would include obviously the duration of the call and who the call is to and who the call is from. That's the basic information that you want to get from a toll records subpoena.
And let's fast forward to, say this would have gone to a trial. How would you, in your experience, have used this type of evidence in a trial?
Oh, it would have been relevant in a number of ways. So it would have been relevant. You could put it together in a summary chart to show the series of contacts, and it could be relevant to show the campaign that evening to reach out to senators to delay the proceedings. Could also be relevant to show, for example, on the afternoon of January 6th, of notice that there was notice that violence was going on. Congressmen, both Republican and Democrat, and the Vice President were in danger. That text records would make that incontrovertible that those calls actually happened. They'd also be relevant for examining witnesses, whether it would be a prosecution witness who might not remember exactly when a call happened, or a defense witness, for example, if any of the co-conspirators were to testify, which, as I mentioned before, was something we would have welcomed. We would have had toll records to question them about the calls that they made, the calls that they received, things of that nature, which in my experience can be very effective.
Can I ask, we attempted in the January 6th committee to question Peter Navarro as well as Steve Bannon, and they were both prosecuted and spent time in jail. Roger Stone appeared but took the fifth. Were you able to provide, to get information from any of those three individuals, and in the case of Mr. Stone, provide use immunity so that he would have to testify?
We did not.
Why not?
We pursued the investigative routes that we thought were the most fruitful. We pursued those that we thought were necessary to get a complete understanding of the scope of the conspiracy. And given the highly uncooperative nature of the individuals you talked about, I didn't think it would be fruitful to try to question them. And the sort of information that they could provide us, in my view, wasn't worth immunizing them for their own possible conduct.
Okay, thank you.
Going back to the toll records, I just want to make sure we make a few things clear. When you were requesting toll records, did it mean that DOJ or FBI was conducting surveillance on members of Congress?
No.
When you were collecting toll records, did it mean that DOJ or FBI would be able to wiretap phone calls made by members of Congress?
No.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, okay. I want to actually go back to some of the lines of questioning that you endured by the majority. There seemed to be this insinuation that there was a lack of respect for the defendant's schedule. Do you recall kind of some of that line of questioning?
I recall questions about his schedule, yes.
Okay. I just want to level set because this is going to be a record and it may be public one day. Considering all the years of experience that you have prosecuting, is it more often or less often that you've had a defendant that has been charged in 4 different jurisdictions with crimes?
I don't know if I've had that before, but it certainly hasn't been often.
Okay. And as it relates to these 4 jurisdictions, we know that he was charged not only on the federal level, but he was also charged on the state level, correct?
That's correct.
And in your experience, typically has it been that if you have a defendant that is charged in multiple federal cases that the federal magistrates or the sitting judges typically confer and figure out scheduling conflicts?
That can happen, yes.
Okay. The issue in this case, or a number of issues in this case, was not so much your prosecution, but was the fact that there was alleged criminal conduct all over the place, correct?
Well, I was focused on my case and my prosecutions.
Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this because they were doing this a different way. Essentially, did it seem as if President Trump was actually enjoying privileges that the average defendant did not?
I certainly wouldn't want that to be the case. I think the law should be the same for everybody. I don't think anybody should be above the law. I think in a case like this, that could be challenging, but it was my goal to make sure he was treated as anybody else, as any of us would be treated.
So let me ask you this. Because in my experience, I've never had a defendant have so many charges and not spend one day in jail. In your experience, have you ever had a defendant charged with so many cases and not spend one day in jail? And when I'm talking about a day in jail, I'm talking about pre-incarceration. What I was observing is that the president was experiencing walkthroughs for seemingly every case that he got instead of going through the typical process that a defendant would normally go through.
Well, I have to say in our cases, in terms of, we did not try our cases. We did not prove our cases in a court beyond a reasonable doubt. And so any sort of sentence, whether it would be incarceratory or otherwise, we never reached that point in the proceedings. And in our case, whether someone would be detained before trial, there's factors you look to for that. We did not ask for President Trump to be detained before trial. And so, as I think I've made clear, I wish we had been able to try these cases because I am confident we had the proof to sustain convictions. And I did try at every place to make sure he was not being treated better or worse than anybody else. But with respect to those things, that was the state of the record in our case.
You've tried cases on the state level, correct?
I have.
Okay. So he was charged in Georgia as well as New York. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And in your experience in handling trial cases on the state level, typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, typically a defendant is incarcerated and then given a bail or not to get out. Has that been your experience as it relates to the trial level on the state level?
Depending on the charge, yes. And obviously the charge depends on what the bail level is.
Correct. Correct. Okay.
I just have one more question about the toll records. So in this past October, in a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing with Attorney General Bondi, Senator Josh Hawley claimed that the subpoena of his phone records was, quote, tapping his phone. As part of your investigation, did you or anyone from your office tap the phone of Senator Hawley?
No.
So is his suggestion that his phone had been tapped just simply false?
It's inaccurate.
Okay, thank you.
I believe earlier, and we're turning back to January 6th, the conspiracy leading up, the events on January 6th, and I believe earlier you said that the reason why, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you charged the president was that he was the most culpable person related to the crime of attempting to criminally overturn the 2020 election. Do you recall saying words to that effect earlier today?
Yes, and because we had proof beyond a reasonable doubt and met the requirements in the federal principles of prosecution.
And I believe you said some of the false claims he was putting out created a certain level of distrust about the validity of the election of 2020. Do you recall saying something like that as well?
Correct. That's alleged in the indictment.
Great. So I want to start with how that level of distrust was created. In your report, you say, and this is a quote, the through line of all of Mr. Trump's criminal efforts was deceit, knowingly false claims of fraud. Can you generally describe some of these knowingly false claims of fraud that were spread after the 2020 election?
Sure. There's a number of them. And you know, part of the explanation is why they're false. And so, you know, just off the top of my head, an example is he was on notice in this election that in Pennsylvania, for example, that he would be ahead in the vote count for a period of time. And then when the mail-in ballots were counted, his lead would dissipate. He chose to represent that phenomena that he'd been briefed on that was normal course of an election, that all sides knew that that's how it was going to be. He chose to present that as evidence of fraud. And to people who are not maybe as informed as him or informed as his campaign managers who told him these things, that's the sort of thing that creates distrust. There were fraud claims in, you know, Michigan, Georgia, where he was specifically disabused by people he trusted, by political allies, by the people when he chose to call them who are best situated to know. In Georgia, I'm thinking of the Secretary of State. He reflexively rejected those things and continued to state false things after he'd been told that repeatedly that they weren't true.
And why was it important? It probably goes to the mindset, but why was it important of all of these repeat statements from individuals that Donald Trump's claims were untrue? How did that play into your overall investigative findings?
Well, I think the pattern and the depth of the pattern and the length of the pattern was pretty damning evidence that he knew these things were false. He only brought fraud claims that involved states that he'd lost. He only approached people generally who had party allegiance to him. When he was told that a fraud claim wasn't true, he didn't stop making it. Another example I can give is that Sidney Powell, who's alleged as one of the co-conspirators, was part of his team at the beginning of this conspiracy. Shortly after, she began making statements that really nobody could credit, that were facially false. And at some point, Giuliani made a statement that she wasn't on the legal team anymore. And Trump, at one point, was on a call, President Trump, where he basically, if I recollect it right, he muted the call and said she was crazy. But then after that point, he continued to promote her fraud claims and lawsuits. He considered putting her as a special counsel, even though he'd admitted, he used the word crazy, and the statement she was making could, by any reasonable person, be viewed as true. And so I think that sort of like claims that were so outlandish and so just fantastical, continuing to push those sort of claims after they've been disabused with strong evidence of our case.
It seems like the evidence that your case uncovered was, I think you said Mr. Trump contacting mostly or all Republican officials about his voter claims from the election of 2020. Is that correct?
That's my recollection. As I sit here now, I can't think of anyone who wasn't someone who was loyal to him politically. And again, many people who would have been our witnesses rejected his entreaties to do that. And again, I think it was in Michigan and in Arizona, and also the Attorney General in Georgia. It stated, I voted for him twice. And others stated, I wanted him to win. I campaigned for him. So it's not as if it was effective in every place, but that was who he focused this at. And that's why I had said earlier today that the witnesses in this case, the subjects of the toll records in this case, those were chosen by President Trump.
So if President Trump would have pressured, for example, a Democratic state leader about these false claims for the election, would you have looked into that Democratic state member as well?
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier talking about, individuals pushing back on these false claims. When you're talking about the fake electors, you mentioned a congressman from Pennsylvania who I guess would have been a witness who might have pushed back on the fake elector scheme being legal. Do you recall saying that earlier?
I do.
Who was that member?
My recollection, I think his name was Thomas Marino. He was a former U.S. attorney, and he's a Republican, former congressman, and he had agreed to be, and this is before the election, agreed to be an elector for Donald Trump. And when he was presented with this idea of the fake elector scheme,
Nevada.
he was repeatedly told by people.
There's no sound? You guys can't hear me? I finally gone deaf. Wait, you guys can't hear me? Wait, what happened? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay, good. Oh my God, you guys are scaring me. Stop scaring me. Stop it. Stop it.
That the very fraud claims that would change the outcome were not true. As you may remember, when he was told by his campaign team, in essence, that if you can't win Arizona, you can't win the election, and then he lost Arizona, he changed out that team and went with Giuliani and his group. We also had statements from other individuals. I believe it was General Mark Milley who said he was going to leave this for the next guy. There was another staffer who overheard him saying that something to the effect of, and I want to make sure I'm not inaccurate here, it's in our final report, but basically like you keep fighting regardless of whether you won or lost, things of that nature, which were corroborative of the very strong evidence of that the things he was saying about about the election claims were not true.
And then you said earlier when I asked you the original question, I thank you for parsing out the various knowledge, right? The second part was that Mr. Trump knew that his claims were false. And in the report, you say that Mr. Trump, and this is a quote, knowingly made false claims. So I'm assuming that talked about the false claims he made after he knew that he had lost the election. Can you describe or summarize some of these false claims he made to the American public after he knew that he had lost the election?
Claims.
Sure. These would be false claims about dead voters. It would be false claims about underage voters. It would be false claims about illegal alien voters. The false claims were generally, as a general matter, about urban centers where he had lost the vote in a particular state that was otherwise close by a lot. Yes, and again, these were claims that were rebutted by people around him who knew that they were false, and in many cases told them they were false.
Can I go to January 6th?
Wait, everybody stop. I've got to talk to Karen. I've been trying to work through this sciatica in my left buttocks, but I did all kinds of stretches that give relief when I'm doing them, but doesn't heal it. Okay, I do have a suggestion because I did do 6 months of massage school, so I'm kind of an expert in this. No, I'm just kidding. But I did do 6 months of massage school, and I happen to know that one of the things that helps in terms of traditional massage is called positional release. And your piriformis muscle in your ass, right? Your piriformis is a deep muscle in your ass. And it is connected in relation to back pain, sciatica, and nerves. Although it could be like a pinched nerve and stuff. So you got to be really careful, okay? But let me tell you about positional release. For me, completely changed my life. And it basically is massage rotation around a joint. And it's very painful while applying pressure to a particular point in your butt on your piriformis. And the problem, it hurts like a motherfucker when it's happening. But I'm going to tell you right now, it really does change your life. Now, will it necessarily address your issue? Not necessarily, because I'm not sure what's causing that pain. That is so incredibly terrible, Karen, because chronic pain, I know firsthand, changes who you are. Changes who you are. And yeah, fluctuations in weight, all kinds of stuff. I lost some and then gained it back. You know what? You're going to be okay. We're going to get you through this, Karen. And an inversion table. I haven't used one of those, Mr. Spock. You like that? I mean, I've heard all kinds of good things about them. So anyway, good luck, Karen. I love you so much. I don't want you to be in pain, my darling. I'm so sorry. Okay, back to Jack.
itself. The president gave a speech on the rally, and we received information, testimony, that a couple of things, that his supporters were leaving their weapons outside the magnetometers because they couldn't go through, and also that at some point Mr. Trump said, let them come through anyhow because they're not going to hurt me. It was subsequent to that knowledge that some of these supporters were armed, that he called on them to go to the Capitol. Was that set of facts subject to your investigation and review?
I recall what you're talking about. I remember we interviewed different people who were near or around President Trump in that period of time before the ellipse speech. And on that point, there were different recollections and different points of view. Some people said what you said. Other people had more innocuous explanations about why people stayed outside the magnetometers. Clearly, people did stay outside the magnetometers. You could see that in the video of the crowd. So I do recall that. And as I said, I remember different people hearing different parts of that and having different perspectives on it.
Metropolitan Police, as well as Secret Service, identified a number of people who were armed along the route, some of them in trees. Did you get information about that?
I don't recall. I do recall there were people who certainly had weapons at the Capitol. That I recall with certainty, and there's people who used weapons, whether they be poles or sticks or other weapons, against police officers. I know there was one officer who they took his gun. And so the use of weapons against members of law enforcement, it was outrageous, but it figured heavily in what happened at the Capitol that day.
Thank you.
I'm actually, if you don't mind, I believe it's Exhibit 10. It's your volume 1 of your report. I think we entered it as an exhibit earlier, and I'm going to direct you to page 39 of your report. And I'm going to focus on the middle paragraph. There's 3 different paragraphs on this page. I'm going to focus on the middle one that starts with Mr. Trump's intent in spreading knowing falsehoods. Do you see that paragraph, Mr. Smith?
Yes, this was this paragraph was what I was referring to when I spoke earlier.
That's what I thought. Did President Trump ever acknowledge, and I believe you talk about it in this paragraph, but did President Trump ever acknowledge that he knew that he had actually lost the election of President Biden?
Yeah, so this paragraph references different statements that he made in the presence of other people. One is that it doesn't matter if you won or lost the election, you still fight like hell. And then the other was, can you believe I lost to this effing guy?
So,
referring to Joe Biden.
So if this would have gone to a trial, and using your years of experience being a prosecutor and a trial attorney, how would you have argued this admission to Mr. Trump? Or how could you? What's a way you could have argued this admission for Mr. Trump to a jury?
Can you believe I lost it?
Well, I think I saw these admissions as corroborative of the larger case. We would have presented what I viewed as very strong witnesses from each state to explain how the elections occurred in that state and why the events, the outcomes were trustworthy, and debunking various fraud claims that President Trump made. We would have presented the false claims that he made repeatedly, interspersed with debunkings to him or other evidence that showed they weren't true and that evidence got to him. This sort of evidence would corroborate that, but it would sort of be the cherry on top, if you will. The evidence that I felt was most powerful was the evidence that came from people in his own party who, as I said earlier, put country before party and were willing to tell the truth to him, even though it could mean trouble for them. I think witnesses like that, in my experience, would be very powerful witnesses in front of a jury, and this sort of evidence that you're pointing to here would be extra, but I think those other witnesses would be very strong proof.
And I want you to elaborate a little bit on that, on your experience with these types of witnesses. I'm assuming, individuals from the same party as Mr. Trump pushing back on his assertions of voter fraud and various other claims. Why would that, in your opinion, have been powerful to present to a jury?
Well, I think someone who puts country before party, I think my understanding of people, of jurors, that people appreciate that. I know I certainly do. The other part about that is the reality of, like, when people speak out against their political party, there can be costs. And when people are willing to pay those costs because they believe in something, because they're going to tell the truth, I think people get that. And I think the witnesses I'm talking about, if I had to cross-examine them and make them not look credible, that would be very hard. I think that would be a very hard assignment.
You mentioned just now, as part of your trial strategy would have been, having individuals from each state come up and talk about their experiences, pushing back on Mr. Trump's false claims about the election. And one of those states you mentioned earlier was Pennsylvania. And so I do want to give Ms. Scanlon from Pennsylvania a chance to ask a few questions.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. And certainly we were paying very close attention to this whole process in Pennsylvania, since Pennsylvania was one of the main targets for the president's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Can you just tell us what actions President Trump, if any, took in Pennsylvania, a state that Joe Biden?
His sound is gone? Wow, what's going on with it? Because it shows it's playing for me, and I'm just like, what? I wonder why it's not playing. No sound? You can find it on Walgreens. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wow, I wonder why it's showing that. Make sure everything's fine. Okay. Can hear me. Okay. All right. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. It shows that it's playing. So let me try it one more time. Maybe it's just being, I think it's being touchy. I'm going to be honest with you, because this stuff doesn't, it seems to be going out on its own. Why? All right, let's check. You know what's interesting is I hear it too. I hear the crackly, but then he doesn't go out for me. I wonder why. Huh. Because it doesn't go out after it crackles. It just crackles and then it stays. It gets stable again. But for you guys, it goes out. And okay, I don't know how to explain that one because nothing's changed on my end. All right, let me try two things. Yeah, I know. It's, you know what it is? It's this administration. Okay, I'm going to try troubleshooting in real time.
When you mentioned the claim that there were more ballots being cast than had been issued.
That's a good idea. Oh, but I have to figure out what place I'm at. 452, 452, 452.
Pennsylvania, which we had very strong.
Okay, how about
evidence
that?
Trump, in fact, had been briefed upon.
Do you hear
by
that?
his campaign.
Ballots being cast or cast that had been issued is one that some of our colleagues here have repeated, despite the fact that the entire state election apparatus has contested it for 5 years now.
All right, guess what? I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to fight this computer. Oh, you can now? Oh my gosh. I don't even understand this. Oh my God. Terrible. Terrible. Focus.
I think your report mentions the
Yes, no,
conversation
yes, no,
that the
yes,
president
no.
had with Larry Thomas, the chair
Yes,
of
no,
the
yes,
Republican
no.
Party, in which he explained to him just a couple days after the election concluded why Pennsylvania's system had all these absentee ballots, which Democrats had embraced because the president had told Republicans not to use them. Did the fact that the chair of the Pennsylvania Republican Party told the president that there was nothing fraudulent about the fact that the Democrats' vote total was
I'm
continuing
gonna
to
stay
grow?
on, even though it's
Did
gonna
that stop
echo.
the president
Okay, it's
from
gonna echo.
continuing his efforts to promote claims of voter fraud in Pennsylvania or elsewhere?
It did not, but again, that witness, Mr. Tabbas, was of a similar group of witnesses who, these are not enemies of the president. These are people in his party who supported him. And I think the fact that they were telling him these things would have had, in my view, would have had great weight and great credibility with the jury.
It's kind of the principle that we use in the law of an admission against interest. You know, when your party loyalty would lead you to support the president, but instead you're saying no, he's wrong. You think that might give them credibility?
Yeah, I think witnesses of that nature would have had very strong credibility.
I agree. I know some of these folks. Did President Trump try to carry out his fraudulent elector plan in Pennsylvania as well?
Yes.
And how did he do this?
Well, what happened with the elector plan was when they came up with the idea of having these fake electors, there were certain electors who would just not put up with it. Thomas Marino, I think he was from Pennsylvania, is an example of that. And so as a result, and he wasn't the only one in the scheme generally, as a result, they had to replace electors. And again, just to keep in mind, all the electors we're talking about here are people who supported Donald Trump. These are people who signed up and said, I want to be an elector for Donald Trump. And these people, when they stepped out, they had to replace them. And part of what's required under the Electoral Count Act is that there are procedures for doing that. And they couldn't follow those procedures because they were replacing people without the consent of the governor, things of that nature. Also in Pennsylvania, I believe it was Pennsylvania, there was a call where, and there's a text of this, where electors were pushing back on this and also wanting to be covered if there was liability and, to be indemnified and things of that nature. And they wanted like statements in their certificates, basically saying you're only going to use this if, you win these lawsuits. And there was a text chain with some of the people who were carrying out this scheme for President Trump. Basically, it ended with these people should be shot because, and that we can't let this snowball like this, otherwise we're going to have to do this in all the other states.
Again, your recollection.
I'm sorry. I don't think he said these people should be shot. I think they said whoever put this slate together should be shot. I think that's what it said.
Well, I think it is one of the reasons the Pennsylvania fake electors didn't get prosecuted was because they pushed back and said, we're not going to sign this unless you include language saying that this will only be used if there are court cases saying that we are the real electors. In your investigation, did you find that the people who were conspiring with the president to push this plan were telling electors one thing and then using their certificates in another way?
Yes, Electors were told that they would only be used in these circumstances. And as, other ways of overturning the election fell away, and as President Trump and his co-conspirators became more desperate, they came up with even more obviously illegal ways to try to stay in power. And it eventually devolved to, let's just say that these are the electors, regardless of whether any court has said so, the governor has said so, the people of the state and most have said so. And they didn't go back to electors and say, hey, we're going to use I know we told you we were only going to use this.
The fact that Mike Roman and Kenneth Cheesebro are not fucking household names drives me insane, because those two were so incredible operatives within this plan to create fake slates of electors and carrying those plans through, and Sean Flynn and all the rest of the operatives. But really, Mike Rome and Kenneth Chesbro, two of the main operatives that have never been held to account. Never. And it makes me sick to my stomach that they walk around, oh my God, it just makes me so sick. Yeah, we covered it in the lounge. We watched what we could of what was happening in the fake elector cases before it all came crashing down at the end of an era. Happy New Year, G. So nice of you to stop in. Thanks, darling. I hope you have a good one. Let's hope it's a good one. Oh, I wrote new lyrics to that, by the way. Did you guys see that? I mean, not that you would, but, I put it out at midnight, and I don't know who listens to, who reads my shit. Okay, wait. Well, first of all, actually, this is kind of funny. Hold on. I know I sound echoey. It's for a good cause. Okay, first of all, I'm pretty proud of this one. I'm sorry about it. Okay, I'm not unhappy about this one. Okay, so this is my... Wait, I'll read it for you. The Hague, 2029. In the pit with Marco, Jared, Steve, Stephen, Elon, Susie, Peter, Mark, Tom, Christy, Pamela, Joe, Russ, Kevin, Todd, and I should have said, and the rest of them, is Donald. The doors fly open. This dude walks in. Jack Smith for the prosecution, Your Honor. Because remember, bitches, I worked at The Hague, and they're going to have me back. So can you imagine if it's like, whatever, 2029, I don't care what year it is. I mean, sooner and better. Jenna Ellis, oh my God. Can you imagine if Jack Smith was the lead prosecutor at the, yeah, that's true, more note about Cheesebro. Can you imagine if Jack Smith entered as the lead prosecutor at The Hague for all these war criminals, Pete Hegseth, all the guys? Wouldn't that be fucking hilarious? That would kill me, because there he is in his Hague getup, and he kicks some ass. I don't know. Says, well, he's one sexy beast. I'm just gonna tell you. But then don't forget. Remember a couple years ago we did a song in the moment, and I'm gonna play it because I love this. It's a fucking bop. So I'm gonna play it. Hold on.
Boy. No. And here he comes, the orange man. He's really ridiculous, and we think he's awful.
I gotta sing it because I love it.
But he's gonna get scared down in Miami, where it's really, really hot. Oh yeah, it's really, really hot. Oh, really, really hot. It's really, really hot, 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 hot.
Jack Smith in a bikini.
Jack Smith in a bikini.
Jack Smith in a bikini.
Because he's gonna be there for
just a minute. It's gonna be a hot
hot-fed summer. It's gonna be a hot-fed summer. Gonna be a hot-fed summer. Well, just you wait.
It's coming for you.
Hot-fed summer. Hot-fed summer. Up in this bitch. Hot-fed summer. Up in this bitch. Oh, you can wish like the world,
But it's gonna go down. And if he doesn't go to prison, well then he's gonna be a clown. That didn't really make any sense, but I know it's gonna be hot-fed summer. Hot-fed summer. Hot-fed summer.
That's right. I said it one more time. Hot-fed. 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 Hot-fed.
It's hot.
Hot-fed summer. Hot-fed summer.
It's gonna
Be a hot-fed summer down in Miami.
It wasn't.
Can't think of any more lyrics, but I think I'll give it a shot. 'Cause I tell you it's gonna be one hot-fed summer. Hey, that's really worked. I don't feel like a jerk. Let me tell you, 1, 2, 3, it's hot-fed summer. Hot, fresh summer. Hot-fed summer. Coming to a sweet little screen near you. It's hot-fed summer. It's hot-fed summer. It's hot-fed summer and it's coming to a screen, thank God, because I really was running out of lyrics to spit.
Are really dealing with. Is anyone else sick of hearing? I am.
Sorry, I had to because I love that song so much. I can't even tell you how much I love that song. That's right. You get news, you get improv, you get half-assed analysis from me. You get good analysis from everyone else. What's not to love? Who doesn't want to spend their mornings with Lolo getting the news in that way? Yeah, how high was I? I was pretty high. I was pretty high. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, do you have one of those foam rollers, Karen? Do you have one of those foam rollers that you sit on that also hurts like a motherfucker? That doesn't make any sense. God, I love that song. That's the RSBN background music, by the way. I mean, I'm going to get a copyright for that, which is fine. It doesn't hurt the channel, but I am going to get a copyright. But I don't care because I love that song so much I can't even. It's mine now. It's mine, RSBN. Lolo owns that song. But it doesn't make any sense. Because it's gonna be. God, I love that song. I wish that was a real song. Well, I guess it is, but anyway. All right, I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up. I promise.
If we won a lawsuit, they just went ahead and used it. And I think, again, even among the fake electors, there would have been witnesses. I'm thinking of one witness in particular in Georgia who I thought would have been very powerful I would never have done this if I thought they were going to use my name to overturn the will of the people just because one person said so.
Okay. I mean, there were other efforts in Pennsylvania. We had the very famous Four Seasons Landscape Day press conference.
Go to Target, get yourself, well, not Target, go to wherever you go and get yourself a foam roller.
But there was also a meeting that Pennsylvania State Senator Doug Mastriano hosted in a hotel in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania around Thanksgiving weekend. So, well, things between the certification in Pennsylvania and the presentation of the electors in DC. So even though it was framed as a hearing, Giuliani attended that event and ended up speaking to promote some of these falsehoods about election fraud or wasting votes or whatever, and made it sort of a rally. Donald Trump even called into this event and claimed that he had won Pennsylvania by a lot. Are you familiar with that event?
I do recall that. I think that's in our final report.
I believe so, yes. Did you uncover anything in connection with that event with respect to what they were trying to do with Pennsylvania votes?
Well, I think they were calling them hotel hearings, and it's because they couldn't have hearings actually in the legislature, and so I don't think Pennsylvania was the only state where that happened. There's obviously nothing illegal about having a political rally or having a meeting of people of one political party. Our case was about knowingly false fraud claims.
Right, yeah, it did appear to be more just some of the kind of performative stuff that we see here where they try to make something out of nothing. Well, I want to thank you for your testimony, for your work, for your integrity and that of your entire staff, who I know worked extremely hard and with great integrity.
Oh, shut
and
up.
wholly
Okay.
support your request to testify.
It
before the
didn't
American
work,
people. I would
Scanlon,
really like to
okay?
see that Americans' tax dollars, including my constituents, have funded your investigation, and I think that they should hear from you directly about what you found and not have your testimony hidden from them. So, thank you.
On another state, on November 20th, Mr. Trump
but it could
called
be- well, it
Republican
sounds like
legislators
we're-
from Michigan to the White House and urged them to remove the Biden electors and replace them with
That's Democrat Zoe
electors that
Lofgren
would
speaking.
elect Trump. They, subsequent to that, made a statement that there was no evidence for that and went back and the electors were certified as the votes had indicated they should be. Subsequent to that, in December, there was an effort to create fake electors. And in fact, on December 14th, when the electoral colleges meet in all the state legislatures, there were 16 fake electors in the basement in Michigan, and 4 of them tried to get into the Capitol to overturn the election. Did you look at that whole phenomena?
We did.
And what was your conclusion? What was the, how would that have played, if at all, in your prosecution?
Well, I think that event you're referring to, and I think we interviewed some of the law enforcement officers who were there that day when they were trying to get in. What they were doing and what the email traffic among co-conspirators showed is they were trying to mimic the procedures that are required by the Electoral Count Act, but they couldn't mimic them. And if I recall, the email traffic on this started with, we have to follow these procedures. And then when it became clear they couldn't follow all the procedures, it was like, well, do the best you can, follow as many as you can. And so I think if I do recall, certain states, it may have been Michigan, that the electors had to convene in a certain government location. And so as a result, I believe there may have been a state official involved in trying to get them into, if I'm thinking of the...
Okay, I'm just going to interrupt because if there are any chuds watching, which there may not be, but if there were, I would like to address this whole fake elector thing because there's a lot of rationalization by chuds that, oh, well, they just did it as a contingent, and oh, well, okay, number one, no, they didn't, okay? It wasn't as a part of a contingency plan, and some of them knew it was bullshit, and they chose to opt out. So there's enough evidence to show, and in fact, there's memos about fake electors and all kinds of things. So there's enough evidence to know that this scheme was not as a contingency because that is only done when contingency elector slates are done, as in cases of 1960 Hawaii, where there was an open lawsuit in the 1960 election in Hawaii against to demand a recount because it was such a close vote between Nixon and Kennedy. And so they did, initially Nixon had received the count. But then they went and they were suing for a recount, and they had 2 slates of electors in that case, but everybody knew it was happening. It was something that was condoned by the state government and the state legislature at the time, all of those things. There are protocols in place if you want to create a contingent slate of electors. You can't just fucking do that. And if you know anything about the people who were involved and followed them as closely as me and my friends have over the last few years, you will know that these motherfuckers literally were absolutely trying to create a scheme in which they could replace electors on the day if Mike Pence had the guts to do it. Period. This is called evidence. And there is more evidence than even what I'm referring to here that exists. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick that disinformation is so deeply embedded in this fucking country and others, but this one is the one I'm in. I'm so pissed that disinformation and the lack of the ability of people to just discuss facts. You know, this was a dastardly plan, and Mike Flynn is very much a part of this plan in terms of mind-fucking the country through messaging, through his Bannon's War Room, through all of the different, shitholes where right-wing media is born. They literally conditioned people to accept stories and fabrications as facts, as long as they suit that person's ideological narrative. Think about that for a minute. That is so wrong. That is so dishonorable. It's just maddening to me that this was so dismissed. And I don't know if it was Merrick Garland's fault that we didn't get a prosecution. I don't know if it was this dude's fault we didn't get. I don't know how we didn't get a prosecution on any of these cases. And, recall, too, in the last couple of years when it came to, J6 cases and things like that, Alito wouldn't recuse himself, even though his wife was flying at their home, the Stop the Steal kind of, what is it? Something with heaven, negotiate with heaven flag. I don't know what it's called. Appeal to heaven, that's it. I call it the negotiate with heaven flag. Is that wrong? No, okay. Anyway, so I just want to I want to double tap that point about fake electors, that this was a very, this was absolutely 100% created as an illegal action, and they tried to force their way through, and it didn't work. So, from that standpoint, it did ultimately, because here we are. So it didn't really fail. Might not have worked in that year, but it eventually kind of came around. We've got a lot of work to do. Well, I wish we didn't have to deal with this, but anyway, here we are. There it is. There it is then.
Right situation, get them in there so again they could mimic the procedures, even though they were not the electors that represented the will of the people, how the vote was actually counted.
Thank you.
I know we're getting close to our hour, about 5 minutes left, so I want to end on asking about, and can you just summarize for us the actions that Mr. Trump took with Vice President Pence? What did Donald Trump want Vice President Pence to do to overturn the election results?
Well, ultimately, he wanted him to just hand him the election to say he won. There were different proposals that President Trump and his co-conspirators put to Mike Pence, but in essence, he wanted Mike Pence to impose his own choice about who should be president over the will of the American people who voted in the election.
Was one of those ways that Donald Trump tried to pressure Mr. Pence was to reject the lawful electors' certificates of their votes during the electoral counting process? Was that one of the ways that you recall?
That's correct.
How did Mr. Pence respond back to Mr. Trump's pressure about rejecting the lawful elector certificates?
I think Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, falls into the category that I described before. He did something that was very hard to do. He went against his party. He paid a price for it. But I think, again, someone like that putting country over party, I think he would have been an effective witness. He did not agree to go along with that.
Did you have the opportunity to interview Mr. Pence as part of your investigation?
Can we stop for 1 sec?
We go off the record. Yeah.
All right. Here's what we're going to do, because we've got another couple of hours of this, and I don't think I'm going to do it today because I want to, save some of the fun. But we'll probably take up the rest of this tomorrow morning because we can, because we're special. Let's get back to Fireplace. I'm so glad they released this. I don't know why they released it. Does anybody know why they released it? I mean, because wasn't it a surprise that this actually happened? Let me go ahead and blank that out. It's kind of killing me. Why did they release this? Like, why did this happen now? Was there a promise to release this? I didn't even think there was a promise to release this. I was thinking of rigging up a pulley system. Be careful, Mr. Spock. Don't you have a neighbor that can help you dig out the inversion table? Lisa, that was the theory I had with rocking on it while on my bed on that side. I'm going to make some banana pudding and do the dishes and move around more. I know. Sometimes my back feels better if I move around more, but God damn it. To bury definitely burying it by releasing it on New Year's Eve, but I don't even recall what prompted the actual release. I guess I just didn't follow the story, because I remember when they like on Friday or whatever, when they released the transcript of it with redactions. I just didn't think they were going to do it. I understand. I just didn't think they were going to release the tape at all. But I guess maybe I just missed that part. I probably just missed that part, which is entirely possible because I'm high most of the time. All right, well, let me tell you what else is happening, because the fun doesn't stop at Lolo's Lounge. That's right. We don't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. Anyway, today, if you're part of our Discord, which I sincerely hope you are part of our Discord, it's ridiculous if you're not. Today, we're going to be playing, we're going to be doing another movie marathon because we love movies. And so we're going to have a movie marathon. It's going to start today at 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 p.m., 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And we're going to watch The Return of the Jedi and then 3 more Star Wars movies like the new ones, like Rogue and all. We have 4, count them, 4 very long movies. So if you don't have anything to do today, then we watched Rocky Horror on Halloween. We just did that. If you don't have anything to do today, you can come to our Discord and just hang out and watch some Star Wars and just snuggle up on your couch with your bottle of fizzy, whatchamacallit. May I have the link again? Abso-frickin-lutely. In fact, I'm going to put the link to the Discord itself in the chat. And soon I will go ahead and do this. Hold on just a minute. Apologies. Oh, I want to read that. Yeah, I read about that. Lee just dropped an article let me show you our Discord, because I'm so proud of this Discord, and I don't have any right to be proud of it because it's not about me. It's about all the people who are smarter than me. But let me tell you about this Discord. I fucking love this Discord. This is the best Discord in the universe. I'm pretty sure. It is. Oh wait, let me get the link while I'm sitting here like an idiot. Copy. Anyway, like we've got Lee dropped an article this morning from DC Report. Apologies if this was shared when published. Big banks enjoy stealth bailouts, which is an article I had put aside for Wake and Bake. So this is, we all think alike. It's so great. And then we play Wordle because we're nerds. And then we had a big Democrat. So Jane dropped in a piece from the Iowa Democrat win. And there's our beautiful Neil from Montreal. And he's wishing us all Happy New Year. I mean, it's just the most will you be home? Oh, GP. Are you going to? Yeah, GP is on holiday with his beautiful. You're going to be up here as Queen Grace? Okay, I'll make sure that we get you as in the OG lounge. Okay, so let me put in this. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Hold on just a minute. Join our. Whoa. I don't know how to type. Join our Discord. It's mighty, mighty fun. Yeah. Okay, if you click that link, you'll be entered into our Discord, and I'll welcome you, and I will give you a role so that you can see all the messages and all that good stuff. But join our Discord. We have so much fun. If you're a drama llama or you're like a screen recorder or a clipper or you want to do gotchas on people, you're not fucking welcome. So stay out because you'll be kicked out anyway. It's not a Discord you can hide in. Just kidding. Anyway. Sorry. Okay, so at 1 o'clock today, I'm going to do the movies in Discord. I'll put that on my social media on Blue Sky and on YouTube so that you will have... Yeah, we don't need any Discord on Discord. Uh-oh, scroll down on Discord. God damn it, what'd you do? What did you do? Hold on, let me do this. And we have cat GIFs. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one of the other key features of our Discord is cat GIFs. So be prepared. Oh wait, I can zoom in. Oh my god. Hey, that's your cooter. So yes, join our Discord. It's a quirky little community over there on the Discordio. And we do movies such as Star Wars. So we're doing 4 Star Wars movies today, starting at 1 p.m. and until we finish. And then tomorrow morning I'll be live. We'll have the rest of this Jack Smith and just general frivolity. And then tomorrow night is trivia, the first trivia of the year. Let's make it a good one without any fear. Felix the cat went out for New Year. Oh, I can't show that. That's going to get me. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so trivia tomorrow night, the first of the year. We're going to have to do something special. I wonder what I should do to make it special. I don't know. We'll think of something. And then, let's see, what else? And then Saturday we're going to have a movie, and I haven't decided. What does that mean? What does that mean, stop? What does that mean, stop? What does stop mean? Oh, stop with the cat GIFs? Yeah, Max does not like cat GIFs. Let the record show. We have a real debate in our Discord about cat GIFs, and the non-cat GIF people, well, no cat GIFs. The non-cat GIF people fight the cat GIF people all the time. But right now, the cat GIF people are winning. Now, sometimes the non-cat GIF people might pull ahead. But right now, for now, it's all about the cat GIF people. Sorry. It's a battle. It's an internal, that's the battle we have. That's the drama we have in our Discord channel, is cat GIFs or no cat GIFs. Don't forget to pay the rent. That's right. Thanks, Max. Don't forget to put 2026 on your dates when you write your checks. at the grocery store. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you later today. And I love you. And if I don't see you, I hope you have a very happy new year, and I hope I see you again in the near future. And I adore you, and have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye. I bet you they do. Jeff, they even have cats that work at McDonald's in GIFs. It's amazing. It's cats